Hello and welcome. I'm Blair Blackwell, and this is the Daily Cyber Brief. Here's today's rundown of the biggest cybersecurity stories you need to know today. Good morning. This is the Daily Cyber Brief for December 24th. Here are the key risks shaping today's session. A major outage in France highlights service resilience. Active exploitation and high-severity flaws put edge and automation platforms in the spotlight. And attackers are harvesting credentials through everyday tools, even as law enforcement posts significant wins. We'll start with incidents. France's National Postal Service reported a major network incident that knocked online services offline, disrupting digital banking and other functions for millions. Meanwhile, supply chain aftershocks continue. Nissan says information for thousands of customers was exposed due to the earlier Red Hat breach. On vulnerabilities, edge devices and automation stacks are drawing urgent attention. Dark Reading reports a zero-day is being actively exploited in WatchGuard Firebox firewalls, adding to a string of attacks on perimeter gear. The Hacker News flags a critical flaw in the N8N workflow automation platform, scored 9.9, that can enable remote code execution in certain conditions across thousands of instances, and for operators in buildings and industrial environments. CISA issued an updated advisory for Mitsubishi electric air conditioning systems. It's one to review for technical details and mitigations. Threat actors are leaning into familiar distribution channels to steal credentials at scale. Researchers uncovered 2 Chrome extensions, promoted as a multi-location network speed test, that intercept traffic and capture logins for over 170 sites. Bleeping Computer warns the web rat malware is spreading via GitHub repositories, posing as proof-of-concept exploits for recent vulnerabilities, a tactic aimed at developers and defenders alike. And in the JavaScript ecosystem, a fake WhatsApp API package on NPM, Lotusmail, was a fully functional library that also siphoned messages, contacts, and login tokens. There's notable movement on enforcement and policy. An Interpol-coordinated sweep called Operation Sentinel resulted in 574 arrests and $3 million recovered across 19 countries in Africa, with decryption support for multiple ransomware strains. A reminder that pressure on BEC and extortion crews is intensifying. In the U.S., healthcare organizations continue pushing back on proposed HIPAA security rule updates, arguing the revisions don't match today's threat realities. And looking to early January, Microsoft Teams will enable messaging safety features by default to better flag malicious content. Impact for organizations. Financial services and public sector operators should note the France outage as a resilience and dependency test. Enterprises running edge firewalls, including WatchGuard, face elevated exposure where exploitation is active. Teams using workflow automation or low-code tools should evaluate their N8N footprint and supporting controls. Developer and IT teams are especially at risk from poisoned GitHub repos and NPM packages, while workforce users on Chrome remain attractive targets through extensions that look harmless but aren't. Looking ahead, monitor vendor updates on the WatchGuard zero-day and any patch or configuration guidance tied to the N8N vulnerability. Review CISA's Mitsubishi Electric Advisory if you manage HVAC or building management integrations. Watch for continuing disruption reports out of France and any secondary impacts. And note Microsoft's Teams security defaults rolling out in January. User-facing changes can influence help desk load and detection patterns. What I'll be watching today: identity theft vectors via browser extensions and messaging platforms, supply chain risks in code repositories like GitHub and NPM, exploitation against perimeter firewalls, and the stability of European financial and government digital services following the French outage. I'll also track whether the Operation Sentinel arrests lead to observable dips or displacement in BEC and ransomware activity. The takeaway: the risk surface is shifting toward the edges and everyday tools. Security teams face a busy cycle separating trustworthy components from lookalikes, while keeping an eye on actively exploited perimeter gear. Familiar work, but time-sensitive. That's it for today's edition of the Daily Cyber Brief. Thanks for listening. I'm Blair Blackwell. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not cybersecurity, legal, or financial advice.